So the cognitive bias that I chose to discuss was the humor effect. So first, we're going to talk about what the humor effect is. The humor effect is a cognitive bias that we remember information that is humorous or funny better than neutral information. Some examples of this would be advertisements and commercials. For example, humor is often used in commercials and advertisements in order to help people remember seeing the brand being advertised because of the humor related to it. So, for example, if there's a joke in a commercial, you remember the joke and then you remember, oh, that was in that Wendy's commercial. Another example of this is when it comes to studying and learning. So when studying, making puns or jokes using the information will help the students remember the information better. When teaching, professors can include memes, show a funny video, or make a joke when teaching the new information, and it will help the students remember this information better. Dr. Browning, for example, does this a lot when she puts memes or puns on the slide, and it relates to the concept, and you remember the joke being told, so you remember the concept, which was what the joke was about. Next, I'm going to talk about the academic study that I chose. The academic study I chose was Laugh Yourself to Sleep, Memory Consolidation for Humorous Information. This was by Chambers. So the methods for this was that Chambers used 27 black and white cartoons with captions. 9 were considered humorous, 9 were considered literal, and 9 were considered weird. So this 70 Notre Dame students participated in the study, and first they had the task to watch a slideshow of all 27 cartoons, and the cartoons stayed on the slideshow for at least 15 seconds each. After each one, they rated the cartoon on a scale of 1 to 5 for humor, valence, and familiarity. So if they consider it humorous, the valence of it, and if they've seen the cartoon before or heard a joke like that before. There was a wake group and a sleep group. So after 12 hours, they came back to do a recall test. But during the 12 hours, the sleep group had to sleep for at least 6 hours to be able to participate in the study. And the wake group obviously stayed awake and did not go to sleep at all. So after 12 hours, like I said, they were asked to describe each cartoon in detail and their caption that related to them. The results of this showed that the sleep group remembered information better than the wake group, and that the humorous and weird cartoons were remembered better by both groups. So in conclusion, the humor and sleep both help with memory consolidation. Next, we're going to talk about 4 concepts that relate to this course. The first concept that we talked about in class that relates to the humor effect is the influence of emotion on memory. So humor is obviously an emotion. Finding something funny is an emotion. There's also other emotions that help you remember. It has an influence on memory in general. So the first, we talked about a case study of BP that had damage to his amygdala, and obviously the control group had no damage to their amygdala, had an enhanced memory for emotional scenes. BP had no enhanced memory for emotional scenes. So this suggests that the amygdala plays a role in memory. The amygdala releases cortisol during emotional events that increase memory consolidation. So emotional events could include sad emotions, happy emotions, like finding it funny. So all of this plays a part into it, everything. Another study we discussed that proves emotion influences memory is the Cahill et al. Study. In this study, they showed participants neutral and emotional pictures, and the stress group submerged their arms in ice water, which released cortisol, and then the no stress group still put their arm in water, but it was warm water. And a week later, both groups had a recall test, and the results showed that the stress and release of cortisol helped participants recall the words and images better. So this all plays a part in the humor effect, because humor is an emotion, and emotional scenes and finding something funny or happy or sad helps you remember it better. The next concept that relates back to the humor effect is perception. So perception Perception is experiences resulting from sensory stimulations and is a gateway to all other cognitions. Without perception, we would not be able to understand humor and relate it to new information. For example, if you could not perceive a pun or meme or a joke, you would not be able to relate it to the new information to help you remember it better. So perceiving is the first step in everything. You have to perceive the information before you can even think about what the joke means. So yeah, without perception, you would not be able to do any of the other cognitive steps. Speaking of cognitive steps, we also talked about attention. Again, without attention, without paying attention to the joke, you would not be able to remember the joke or even remember seeing the joke. Attention is a set of cognitive processes that allows us to concentrate on one set of events in our environment while ignoring other events. The information has to be in your attentional spotlight in order for you to be able to perceive and understand it. For example, just because you can hear someone speaking doesn't mean you're paying attention and understanding what they're saying. Without attention, we would not be able to focus on new information or the humor related to it. For example, in class, if you're shopping on Amazon during class and you're hearing Dr. Browning talking, but you didn't look up at the screen, the meme on the slideshow wasn't in your attentional spotlight, it's not going to help you remember it because you didn't pay attention to it and you heard her tell the joke, but you weren't listening. The next concept is memory. This is a big one. Obviously, the humor effect and memory they're the same thing. They go hand in hand. Memory was a whole chapter in our class, and the concept of memory and working memory relates to the humor effect greatly. The humor effect is using humor to make our memory consolidation of new information better. The humor effect has definitely been proven to help in memory consolidation and uses working memory. Working memory is a limited capacity system for temporary storage and manipulation of information for complex tasks such as comprehension, learning, and reasoning. So you have to use your working memory in order to comprehend, learn, and reason all this new information. Obviously, the humor effect is all about using humor to remember things better and to test your memory. So, conclusions. One way to be more aware of this cognitive bias is to use humor when trying to remember information yourself. Like I said previously, you can use it while studying, making puns out of the new information, or trying to remember what was said in class that was humorous. Another way to be more aware of this cognitive bias is to use it when trying to get others to remember information, and be aware when marketing is using humor in their advertisement. These are my resources, and that's the end. Thank you.